fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. The pioneers who first settled in the western United States had to fight Indians and outlaws. And though the odds were heavy against them, there was one man to whom they could turn for help. That was the masked rider of the plains. It was he who brought law and order to the frontier and made peace and security possible for the honest ranchers and their families. Now return with us to those thrilling days when the West was young. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver! We're heading for the Barnes Ranch. Donald's waiting on the trail ahead. Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
As our story opens, Joe Barnes, who had been a guest at his brother's home for supper, picked up his hat and prepared to leave the ranch house for his cafe in town.
Pete, you're the luckiest feller I know of. You got a wife that can outcook anybody I ever heard tell of, and a young'un that's grown so fast to be a top end before you know it.
I reckon it ain't everybody that's been as lucky as me. I ain't complaining, am I, Molly?
You just better not.
Well, I'll be running along now. Sorry I can't stay and spend the evening with you.
You're welcome anytime, Joe. We ain't seen much of you lately.
Shucks, I reckon you know how running a cafe keeps a fella busy.
Yep, I suppose.
Doggone horse. He's seen me, so he's anxious to get started for home and oats. Well, good night, all.
Good night, Joe.
Come soon again.
Night, Uncle Joe.
Good night, Davy. Steady there, blast you. Maybe you folks can come to town and visit me sometime.
We'll see about it.
Get up there. Get up there. And then again, maybe it'll be fixed so they won't get to town. Come on there, blast you. Get along there. There's a grove of trees where I told the fellas to meet me. You just better be there. I'll have something to say to them that'll blister their hides. Get along there. This ought to be just about it. So blasted dark, I can't hardly see a thing. Oh, there. Oh. Red. Hey, Red. Are you here?
That you, Joe?
Who else do you think it'd be? Where are you?
Just a second. Come on, fellas. I was beginning to think you was going to stay there all night.
Oh, I got away as soon as I could.
How about the ranch? Everything set?
You won't have no trouble at all. Most of the hands are in town, and what's left you can take care of easy. Pete said they was in the bunkhouse.
Your brother don't suspect nothing, does he?
Him? That fool don't know enough to suspect anything. Well, ain't no use standing here talking. I'll get back to town so nobody will suspicion me and you get started.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah?
I happen to know a few things, too. One of them is that Pete's got cash hid away somewheres.
What if he has?
You got any objections to our getting a hold of it for part of our pay?
You'll do no such thing. In the first place, you don't keep it hid in the house. If you go to looking for it, you waste too much time.
We could sort of persuade one of them to talk.
Nope. Forget about that cash. After you've finished them off, the ranch will come to me. Then you'll get every cent I promised you. And if that ain't enough to satisfy you, say so now.
Oh, we ain't kicking.
Then get on about your business. I'll stay in town long enough for an alibi and meet you over to the old cabin to hear how you come out. That understood?
That old line cabin, you mean?
The same.
We'll be there.
You better be. Well, I'm heading for town. Get up there. Come on, get up there.
Half an hour later, as the Lone Ranger and Tonto raced through the night, they saw a red glare in the sky to the west.
What's the matter? Look, Tonto, in the distance. Oh, there, fire. It can't be a signal fire. It's too big for that. I wonder... Maybe house burn. It must be. That's just about where the buildings of the Barnes ranch should be. Come on, Tonto. We won't go to town yet. We'll cut across country and see if we can't help. I'll Silver! Away!
The masked man and his faithful Indian companion urged their horses to their greatest speed. But swiftly as the two men rode, the fire had almost completed its work when they drew near the ranch house.
The place seems deserted, Tonto. I don't understand why the people who live here wouldn't stay to keep the fire from spreading to the other buildings.
Not plenty strength.
Oh, there's over. We'll take a look around, Tonto. I'm afraid we're too late to save anything from the ranch house.
You look.
What is it?
There, marked, many horse.
Those hoofprints were made recently. Wonder why those riders left.
Mister! Oh, mister!
There, boy.
Mother Corral. Maybe he can tell us what happened.
Then come.
Oh, please, mister, get my mother back. You're masked.
It's all right, son. Tonto and I are not outlaws. Here now. See if you can't tell us what's happened.
Even if you are, you ain't one of them that killed Pa.
Your father was killed? Come now, if you cry, you won't be able to tell us about it. If that happens, then we can't help you.
I'll try not to cry, mister. Pa used to say it was only woman folks crying.
What's your name?
Davy Barnes.
Pete Barnes, son?
Uh-huh.
Tonto, it was Pete Barnes, the owner of this ranch, that was killed. Dave, who did it?
I never seen him before, mister. They just rode up to the house, run off the hands, and killed Pa without giving him a chance.
And what happened to your mother?
They tried to get her to tell where Pa hid his cash, but she wouldn't do it.
But where is she now?
They said they was going to make her talk. And then they heard you calling to your horse, and they rode off. They took her along. Oh, please, mister, get her back, won't you? You just got to.
We certainly will, Dave. Did they try to harm you?
Ma, she made me run and hide when the trouble started.
But why did they set fire to the house?
Ma tried to get away from him and bumped the table with the lamb.
I see. Tonto, it must have been the hoofprints left by the outlaws we noticed. What's that?
Maybe it's posse.
The fire was probably seen in town. Perhaps one of Pete Barnes' men got there and reported what happened. If that's the case, they'll shoot first and ask questions afterward. Here, Silver.
Here, Scout.
The child's safe, and we haven't time to explain ourselves. Here, come on, Tonto. We're following those outlaws to the hills.
Me ready.
I'll Silver!
Get 'em up, Scout.
Away!
Hold on, get away! Hold it there. Come on, keep on after, boys. Ride hard. Ride!
The sheriff and the men who rode with him soon found that their mounts were no match for those of the masked man and Tonto, and finally they turned back to the ranch house. We see them as they draw their horses to a halt by the smoldering remains.
Oh, Gosh, you. Them cooks sure ruined your brother's face, and no mistake. And I'll bet my saddle I know who done it.
You do?
This looks like the work of Red Purvis and them pesky mavericks that travel with him. If I ever get them where I can... Joe, there's the young un, Davy.
Well, I'll be.
Davy, come here.
Sheriff, them fellas you saw leave here didn't do this.
Huh? Wasn't they one of Red Purvis's gang?
I don't know about that, Sheriff, but if it hadn't been for them, I'd have been killed too.
Tarnation. And we almost drilled the wrong fellers.
Say, Joe, what's ailing you? You look as if you'd seen a ghost.
It's nothing, Sheriff. I reckon I was kind of surprised seeing the boy was still alive.
Yeah?
You know yourself, Sheriff, when Zeke rode into town telling about the raid, he said that it looked like them outlaws aimed to kill off everybody in the ranch house.
It's too bad Zeke and Clem were the only punchers here. Maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Sheriff,
Huh? What is it, Bub?
those men took Ma away with them.
What's that?
She's alive, too?
They tried to make her tell where Pa's cash was.
Why, the double-crossing...
What'd you say, Joe?
Why, I was just saying the dirty skunks ought to be hung for a trick like that.
I'm just wondering what we're going to do with Davy.
Don't take me away, Sheriff.
Shucks, you can't stay here the way things are.
Davy, you'll come home with me. Of course you will. I'm your uncle, ain't I?
But I don't want to go.
Now, Davy, I reckon Joe's got the right of it. Your pa being dead and your ma gone, it's your uncle's place to look after you.
Oh, all right.
Give me your hand, Davy. I'll help you into the saddle. Up with it. There you are. Well, Sheriff, what do you think we ought to do now?
Go back to town. That's all we can do. But by heaven, the crooks that did this is going to pay and pay plenty. All right, men. Come on. Get up there. Get up. Get up there. Come on.
In the meantime, Tonto and the Lone Ranger followed the outlaws. Their trail was an open book to the keen-eyed Indian.
Hurry, old fellow. Tonto, I don't think we can be more than 10 minutes behind them now. The main thing is to rescue Dave's mother. When she's safe, we can try to capture the outlaws.
We get 'em.
Come on, Silver. What's the matter, Silver? Something's wrong, Tonto. Silver wouldn't have stopped. Tonto, look.
They're heap big drop.
It's a break in the plateau. Silver saw it before we did. Come on, old boy. We'll get close and have a look at it. That's close enough, old fellow. Look below, Tonto. You can't see the bottom. That must be a drop of at least 1,000 feet.
Plenty deep.
We lost the outlaws' trail.
Them come this way.
But how could they have crossed? No horse could make that jump. Let's have a look, Kimasami. Stay there, Silver.
That's how them cross.
Do you see something?
Yeah. You look. There.
There was a small bridge here. Yes. You can see where the timber supported it on this side. They knew about this bridge, Tonto. They chose this trail for that reason. And when they crossed the bridge, they must have chopped the supports away on the other side. Yes, and with those supports chopped away, the timbers on this side were too weak to hold the bridge, and it fell below.
That right?
Well, we've got to find some way to follow. A woman screaming.
Maybe them hurt her.
The outlaws are stopped in those woods. I believe they can't be followed further. Again, quick, get your rope.
Me get it. What you do?
You see that stump across the way directly opposite?
Me see it.
We'll rope that stump, pull the rope tight, and fasten it to the tree right here. And I'll cross the rope hand over hand.
Oh, that's plenty dangerous. You fall, you get killed.
We'll have to chance it. Do you hear that? Hurry, Tonto, hurry!
All right, I'll ask you once more. Where did Pete hide his cash?
I won't tell you. I won't.
You might just as well, ma'am. You ain't going to live long enough to spend any of it anyhow.
Oh, you'll kill me whether I tell you or not.
Red, she's the stubbornest critter I ever seen. Maybe we ought to keep on going for a spell before we ask her again.
What for? There's nobody can get across the gap. We're safe enough. And before I'm through, she's going to talk and talk plenty. Now, look here. There's a chance, just a chance, mind you, that if you tell us what we aim to know, we'll let you go.
I don't care what you do. I've got nothing to say.
Why, you...
That wasn't one of our horses.
We've been followed.
Come on, let's see who it is.
Anyways, they can't get
There's a fella hanging by his hands from a rope.
He's coming to this side.
He's sure got nerve.
Get your knives. Cut that rope. Cut the rope and drop into those rocks down below.
The curtain falls on the first act of our thrilling Lone Ranger drama. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments.